Hi everyone, my name is Scott Chally. I've got a couple videos out there I'd like to get everybody to look at to make them understand, or the people to understand, that we could live in a better way of life. I've been working at a new world order for the last 14 years, and I've got it wrapped up to where it would work perfectly for the people. I'm going to read. Well, we have Scott Chally, which is part one. This is part two, Scott Chally part two. And then we're going to have Scott Chally part three. So there'll be 3 videos explaining the New World Order. And this is my book, Scott Chally Believes. And inside my book, I'll get up here, we got ACEs. And we'll start out quality at its finest, ACE services. American Constitution of Economics, striving today for tomorrow will be a better day, a better place. Then we got an Ace of Hearts for American, Ace of Spades for Constitution, and Ace of Diamonds for Economics. And they explain it. But I'll read for a little bit, and that'll explain part of the world order. And I'll try to do my best to explain to make sure you understand it fully. Just bear with me. ACE Services is a constitution governing the people's protection. It will establish a better, well-liked society for which we the people live by bringing balance to a system and how we operate. I, Scott Leroy Chally, see a vision of 3 different branches known as ACE Services. As I read along, I will explain how ACE Services will benefit this nation. I will go over and explain 3 of the 4 powers that will represent our society and how, in relationship, we the people will be helped and why we will need to uphold these powers. You will then see new laws come into effect, as well as some old laws be removed from the books. You will see a medical system for the people and not for the unjust good of profits. You will see a well-balanced lending system that will be fair for all. You will see how we, the people, will not be afraid to invest in our economy, for which we will have secured markets backed by the government. All leadership will be looked at, and some ethics of leadership will be changed to meet for the commonwealth of the people. There will be a double-check system in all parts of the government. Civilian offices need to assure no wrongdoing is being done to mankind. You may be asking, how can this happen? Well, for the most part, information will be gathered or obtained from people by sealed collection boxes. In every post office, as a sealed collection box is removed, another sealed collection box will take its place. Only the facility to where the collection boxes go would have the access codes, necessary keys needed to open them. All the facilities that receive the collection boxes will take the necessary steps to safeguard the information contained in the collection boxes and keep the security of the information contained in their utmost responsibility. Failure to do differently could lead to immediate dismissal or prosecution to the fullest of the law. These boxes will be accessible for all people, no matter how young or how old, for the good or for the bad. The people will have the right to voice their opinions, to be heard, or at least suggest something that they would like to see changed. This will include if it's a sensitive situation like a minor being sexually assaulted, or rape cases, spouse abuse cases where they may be afraid to take it to the police. Small businesses, big businesses, companies, factories, and all alike should now worry on the way we operate. The common day worker will have more rights and have the backing of the law on their side. All concerns will be addressed and carried out, whether for the good or for the bad of the compliant parties. Laws will be proposed due to the effects of multiple complaints of the same nature, or considered for new operating procedures that can best fit the common public. Tallies will be kept on how we can achieve a greater society. The state representative would then work the suggestion into bills and laws that would best suit the people. If negligence or wrongdoing should come to any official in any of the ACE Services office, that individual will be immediately put on suspension till the matter is solved. If he or she is upheld he or she will be upheld at the fullest of the law. One who puts the complaint forward as falsifying or found at fault without reasonable doubt, he or she could face criminal charges, and the employer at that time would have full rights to fire that individual. There will be what you call a scorecard or sheet with the range scale from 1 to 10, made up for each person for each complaint, along with a brief statement explaining the situation and the appropriate action that were taken. All actions will be kept on file for the appropriate state office for a minimum of 3 years. So let's be keen about this, I say. If we're not looking out for one another, we can close down our own employment due to the neglect of our own doing. In no way, shape, or form, or should blackmail be used against a company or an individual working for a company for profit to better oneself. I suggest that businesses may want to look into profit sharing for all workers to keep a more stable flow of work being produced. All ACE Services offices will have the necessary information and updated policies and procedures for business to conform by federal, state, or local laws. All business has to do is make a call to the appropriate office for the info they seek. But actions have to be added to the proper slips for actions to be carried out. Here's a list of powers as follow. We got the Ace of Hearts, the Ace of Spades, and the Ace of Diamonds. Now I'm going to read about them. Ace of Hearts shall stand for love and represent Americans. It is the most important of all the aces. The Ace of Hearts would be the branch that covers people's protections, assure all assistance of medical needs, to include governing health, welfare, fair prescription acts, housing and urban development, family assistance programs, emergency relief efforts, and any other agencies that are similar in nature. No one should be deprived of these services or be left behind. The Ace of Spades shall stand for power. This includes political members, lawyers, business owners, company executive officers, CEOs, to the everyday worker, from the highest ranking general to the lowest unless they're private, and all leaders alike. This branch will be governing fair treatment to all to ensure all have a voice to be heard as equal, for no unjust should come to any one person. ACE Services will allow people to seek assistance throughout the land of any situation that may arise. All leaders, no matter how big or small, will have to abide by the rules set forth. Ace of Diamonds will be handling all the nation's budget and distributing of money through agencies of need. All the banking financing offices, along with federal aid, would be handled at this office. Anything from financial need to people at the Emergency Relief Act, along with investment agencies, would be for the people. You may wonder, why not have a fourth ace, the Ace of Clubs? Well, it is not needed. And my best way to explain this is if you look at how kings would use jesters for entertainment, or how Romans would use their colosseums. It indicates acts of violence, false bearings, and misuse of powers. But your bowling alleys, your bars, your sports events would all be king of clubs. So, our ace of clubs. Then we as people can prosper and feel freedom at its fullest. We share the duties of our everyday life. We will know that we are free and equal to one another. Fairness shall be carried out across the land with the backing of the justice system at our side. We will do away with the heart-stricken problems that affect each of us. When leadership or leaders drift from their respective duties, it becomes a burden, and burdens we don't need. Some leaders may prejudge people without knowing all the facts by simply having a biased approach towards work ethics, or not worried about health and welfare towards workers. We need to seek them leaders and try to train them leaders, but if untrainable, we must replace. We, the leaders, need to listen to the people's wants, needs, desires, along with keeping their safety and health top priority. Leaders need to make sound decisions. They need to be fair and just for all parties without bringing shame to one's workplace or to one's values. For leaders to place immoral acts or beliefs in front of people's common values, such as unjust abuse of power for profit, prejudice, or for their own values, and emphasizing hardship on others for their own common good. All of this should not be tolerated as a leader. Everyone shall have to uphold the duties of which they operate as common welfare for the people, or of the people. No one shall use unfair judgment towards one another. Be common interest that we are all the same, to make it better for the people that get into unlikable situations, that there is no help for needs of the people that fall in between the guidelines of what we can't say or be considered as fair or just plain hardship with the business or companies. We should not fear terrorism, even though they may be there. Eventually we will see the light. They will see the light of the good people of the world has to offer and join hands. They will stand by our side equally as all others and find out that the leaders and the disrespect the law to assume they are above the law by participating in unfair acts against the people. For greed shall be upheld by the fullest of the law, no matter what position they may hold. Zero tolerance for harassment in a workplace should be upheld at all times. It is the leader's responsibility to uphold and provide a healthy work environment. Leaders must not mix up social activity as a source of a problem, but keep what is fair for one the same for all, and keep a keen eye and ear out if possible problems may arise. If one should see something strange, you should contact the one or the parties that are involved before it progresses. I think President Clinton said it best when there was a controversy in the military on gays. He put together a don't ask, don't tell policy. We should consider adopting and reinstating that for general living standards of what the people want. There should be no harassment for the general population. In other words, what a neighbor or someone we come in contact with is, we should not pose judgment on one another for what he or she does on their personal time. Also saying the neighbor you shall respect as long as there is no harm to come to thy neighbor, or to include what would occur because of carelessness, misbehavior, adolescence. There will be a justice system inside of a justice system to see all justice be carried out fairly. New bills and rights for the people will be either adopted or opposed. As far as members that work for each of the appointed ACE services offices should not be biased towards one party while investigating acts that are brought forth to them, nor shift the evidence to appear to look greater towards one party's favor. Official offices, when they act on simple disputes, should be evaluated carefully in a bipartisan party to adopt the ongoing situation on each matter, which in hand can send them to a number of agencies to try to solve the situation. This policy would use three-strike method for the first line supervisor position. The points will add up for every one in the company that is in the direct chain of line, but of course the next level or branch would have 6 points and so forth. Each supervisor would have to set up a point schematic system soon as possible or within 90 days. A company has as little as 10 people, you would have 6 points, but no more than 66 points for a company that has 1,000 plus people. A line of leadership can branch as much as you have leaders. 3 points are for each level of leadership that an individual would be in charge of. So by looking at the chart, you see the first line leader with 3 points each, but you see a main shop supervisor with 15 points because he will add 3 points for the first line leader to his 3 points, which will equal to a total of 15 points. And the same way it climbs up to the top of the leadership with 18 points and the fourth line with 24 points. Basically, 3 points per supervisor. 3, 6, 9, 12. Their supervisor, foreman, will have 15 points. And then 18 and 24. It all depends. There will be 3 for this one, 3 for this one. So 18 from the 15, they each get 1, but the 24 to the company president, since there was a dual partnership of leadership. So it goes to 24. Okay, as you notice, from the third line to the fourth line, it jumps 6 points. It is due to the dual position from the certain picture or company example. But if there would have been only one position, there would have only been granted 3 points. The company president had received 21 points from the fourth line leaders, plus the 3 points for him holding the position to 24 points. I will give a few examples of how the point system will work. Let's say a first line supervisor gets turned in due to racial statement that he had made to an employee, and an A service office decided for the employee. The first line supervisor now would go down to 2 points instead of having 3-point value. The whole chain of command, all the way up to the president of the company, would also lose a point. And it would stay on their record for 3 full years. After the 3 years are up, he or she will return back to the 3 points where he had started with. The rest of the chain of command would also get their points back. No other first line leader would lose a point, only the ones that are above the one that got turned in. The one that had the situation would have to attend classes in A services office will put forth to do so. If he or she chooses not to attend the class in the time that was allowed, they would lose another point along with the chain of command, unless that leader was removed from his or her duty. The company or the bosses would still be accounted for the first line or whichever the company had filed under. From the lowest to the highest, it will always be accounted for any incident that come about. In rare cases, there may be more than 1 point taken, or a business or company may close down for a short time until the problem is solved. Anything after the first line leader that has a complaint against him or her, there could be as many as half the total points taken away from what they would have been entitled to. So they should be careful of what they do and make good judgment calls. Special hearings and deemed by the law could relinquish more than 1 point depending on the situation that is being addressed, and it could hit all levels of the chain of command. There will be some that may think they're above the system and claim false report on their duty or position as a company or business deems necessary for the business or party that's at fault could push for criminal actions. A services would do their best to make fair complaints carried out. Well, that's all I'm going to cover on that at this time. But I'm going to put that aside, the book. The leadership. If you have first line leaders, maybe in charge of 5 guys, 3 guys, 10 guys, a whole shop, and then there might be a foreman that's above that shop. Well, that first line leader, if he's got two first line leaders, it'll be 3 points and 3 points. 3 points apiece, 6 points, 3 points for the individuals. But that next leader gets 6 points from them plus the 3 points, so he would have 9 if there was 2 people who was in charge of. Now, the reason why I say these points are so critical, because it keeps the people honest. If you lose 3 points, you can't work that position. That means you're messing up. But you got 3 years to lose 3 points. The second line leader might have 9 points. So if one of the leaders lost a point or lost 3 points, that second line leader had lost 3 points and he has only 6 points left. If he can't control his people underneath him, he's going to lose more points. And if he loses too many points, he'll be removed from his duty, which chances are it won't happen. It'll basically be affecting the first line leaders. And that is something good, because if somebody complains about the work ethics, that leader's got to do everything within his limits to make sure it's right. So it's for the people. Plus, if the points are sitting there being kept a track of through the companies throughout the world, when you go to work, you can look up the remarks to their company to let you know ahead of time whether they're a good company to work for or not, or what kind of complaints have went through, or what kind of problems they're having. That'll also increase or make the companies wonder when they got insurance to make sure that their numbers are down and there's little reports or little possibilities of complaints. They will get a cheaper rate. People want to work for them, but that's all they've got. So, and it'll be great. Retention boxes or collection boxes that are put in every post office. That is something that anybody, a 5-year-old could drop a note in there or whatever, or a 98-year-old might drop a note in there and want something done or asked about something, and they get responses back that can either solve the situation, whether it's a neighbor with disputes, or maybe it's you don't feel you're getting enough income from everybody from Ace Services. But if it isn't, it'll be taken care of, and enough people put together, it'll happen. With any of the cases or situations, I gotta say, I'm sorry it took me so long to read that, and I kind of stumbled a few times, but I do think looking at these 3 videos will give you a different outlook at life. This world could be great. Everybody getting paid. The 5 areas within the economy, the autos, the insurance, the utilities, the food, and the housing, that all being controlled can make anybody have as much money as possible, or they need to live off it, because if the basic economy is going to be paid, it won't fluctuate no more. So it'll be good. Well, I won't make this video too long. Thanks a lot, and until next time.